But I feel like more of the pressure is on Georgia, given the program, given their history, given where they are. And really, like, this is the final road game of the season against one of the hottest teams in the country if you're Georgia right now. Ole Miss is desperate. Georgia's even more desperate. Ole Miss has been really good over their last. They've covered in 7 of their last 10 games. Georgia's only covered once in their last 7 games, and we've watched the Georgia team. I think we've held these expectations insanely high for Georgia, given what we've seen in the past, especially with what they've been as a program defensively right now. But I look at Ole Miss's offense. That 63-31 win over Arkansas. I know it's Arkansas, but what they were able to do last week. Jackson Dart is playing at an elite level. We talk about Joe Burrow and what he looked like last night for the Bengals. Jackson Dart was 25 of 31 for 515 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. 254 and 5 of those went to Jordan Watkins. So the offense for Ole Miss is at an absolute elite level. And Carson Beck is an absolute roller coaster. If Georgia doesn't establish the run early, Carson Beck is less comfortable as time goes on. And really, Ole Miss has the defensive front to kind of disrupt Georgia a little bit there and those receivers. I think this is a really, really good spot. Even with Georgia having won 4 straight since that Alabama loss, Ole Miss to me is in a really good spot here where you've got Carson Beck trending down and you've got your starting quarterback in Jackson Dart trending upward. I think this is a perfect spot to take Ole Miss, even at just 2.5.
I think this one's tough for me because you look at the Georgia side and you say, okay, Carson Beck is hard to trust in this position. It feels like he's usually good for a couple of picks and he's good for keeping the other team in it. But on the other side of the coin, like, this is a cheap price on a very talented Georgia team, like a line of 2.5 on Georgia, a team that's been one of the top teams in college football all season long. And who do you trust more in a big game? I know normally you look at the quarterbacks, but in college football, coaching absolutely matters. Do you trust Lane Kiffin over Kirby Smart here?
That's true. I guess that is one of the concerns if you want to throw the coaching in there. Lane Kiffin, though, like, just has this way to get guys, though. You feel like I find Lane Kiffin, it's tough, right? Because we know how his career started and coaching the Raiders and then just getting fired everywhere he went. You kind of felt like he was a little bit of a clown that had way too much ego. But what he's done at Ole Miss and really turning that program into a legit program, it does feel like guys kind of buy into whatever it is that he's selling at this point. So I'm with you. I'm taking Kirby Smart as a coach over Lane Kiffin, but I'm not going to just discredit Lane Kiffin because he finds a way to get guys to buy into whatever the narrative is and whatever it is he needs to do to get them to be prepared for those games.
Yeah, I feel like this is a tough one, though. It almost feels like the Penn State-Ohio State game to where it's like, okay, do we trust James Franklin in the big one? Penn State's had a great season. You know, there are a lot of things to like, but still, it feels like the better program prevails. I don't know. I feel like this one has too many factors pointing in different directions for me to make a call. How about some of these other games? Because I think I actually have a stronger opinion on the other big game, Alabama-LSU. LSU getting 3 points at home in a night game. LSU has been one of those teams that have come stronger down the stretch. I know they're coming off a loss, but still, they have a lot of really good pieces. And I feel like for Alabama, it feels like another volatile, quote unquote, dominant team. Like similar to Georgia, where you say in years past, well, it's Georgia. They're the better team. You trust in their head coach a little bit more. But Alabama, they've had some mishaps this year to where you kind of mistrust the head coaching. And Kalen DeBoer feels like he's not the staple that we've seen as far as compared to Nick Saban, which obviously is a tough comparison. But Nick, how do you feel about LSU getting points at home against Alabama?
Yeah, so the issue with Alabama, and you're right, it's obviously not the same Alabama program, and it's always difficult to be the guy that follows the guy, and Kalen DeBoer is the guy that follows the guy, and we've watched in the past, before he was even at Alabama, a lot of close games. That's kind of just how it goes. What concerns me about Alabama this year is that their numbers can be very, very misleading right now. They haven't really been tested by great quarterback play yet this year. And I think LSU at least brings in with Garrett Nussmeier a little, like, it's enough there where you can feel like this is the higher end of quarterback play that they're going to see versus what it's been. Now, yes, there was Carson Beck, but look at Carson Beck now versus where Carson Beck even was when they played Georgia earlier in this year. So Alabama played Wisconsin with a backup quarterback. USF, they missed a ton of wide open deep shots. So just bad, inaccurate play overall from them. Vanderbilt put up 40 on them and beat them. Vanderbilt. Now I know Vandy showed us, okay, you can mention, right? I'm with you too. Vandy is a great spot as an underdog this weekend as well. But South Carolina should have won that game. And it's not like they've got great quarterback play. You've got Tennessee, who upset the Tide in Knoxville, so that happened on top of it. And then even Missouri, a backup quarterback there. LSU has actually faced a top 15 schedule on both offense and defense versus Alabama. So LSU is a little bit more tested in terms of competition, quarterback play, and just overall good programs versus I think where Alabama is here this year. Some of it is, and it's not totally there, but we're getting to the point where there's a little bit of it's Alabama, so people maybe still trust in them a little bit, but it's not the same program and it's not the same team that we've seen in the past. I bet the under on this game at the beginning of the week. So yes, all of those trends are your friend because you can also look at this as, well, what does Jim Harbaugh do as head coach? He runs the football. He eats clock. Like, this is what you're going to get specifically just from the Chargers alone here. That is what Harbaugh does. So I love the under in this game. Loved it before I even saw all of these trends that you put right here. There's plenty of others that tell you the same story. This is absolutely a friend for me.
Yeah, it feels like it's the perfect storm of a lot of things because it's not just a team that has a good defense. It's not just a team that wants to run the football. It's also a team that plays at an incredibly slow pace. And if they're going to be the ones who are controlling the game, like this line indicates, the Titans are 7.5-point dogs. And here's the thing. I feel like the Titans have at least a punching chance when they can get the run game going. Quietly, Tony Pollard has been a great piece for the Tennessee Titans, but the Chargers are a top 10 defense against the run, and I don't think that this is a Titans offense that can hold on to the ball very long and move the chains and eat up clock when it's Mason Rudolph or, hold your breath, guys, Will Levis is back at practice this week.
Oh, no.
It feels like a threat when I hear this on the radio. They're like, Will Levis is back. And I'm like, oh, no. I thought Halloween was over. This is like Michael Myers returning for the 13th time. So, yeah.
The good thing, though, Chelsa, we know in that
play here.
The good thing we know with Will Levis, if he comes back, though, we're going to get some kind of meme of Will Levis doing one of the most ridiculous things that we could ever see on the field, where it's like a Superman interception where he goes, I'm going to throw the ball that way, and then he falls forward, flying through the air. So there's at least that entertainment. I'm sorry you have to deal with it there, but it can be kind of entertaining from my perspective and a lot of other people's perspectives.